Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Astro Room, where we discuss everything astrology. I am your favorite astrologer and host, Mel of divinefeminineworks, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. This channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves, we have a new month upon us. So you know what that means. It's time for the monthly astro forecast for the month of February 2023. I'm excited about this month, and I think you should be too. It's going to be one of those months where you really can get a lot done. There isn't going to be a lot of, astrologically speaking, there aren't going to be a lot of distractions. There isn't going to be a lot of curveballs thrown your way. It's really just steady sort of energy this month. There isn't a whole bunch going on, which is a good thing. So it's one of those months where you can just put your head down, get to work, and get some stuff accomplished. So I'm really excited for that. And again, I think you should be too. All right, so let's let the good people over on Twitter know that we are live. Oh, did that not work? Okay, that just didn't work. All right, but anyway, hopefully they know that we are live. All right. So as always, before we get into the nitty gritty, just some announcements and some housekeeping. So if you are joining me here on the live this evening, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way in, and don't forget to say hi in the chat. And even if you are catching this on the replay, go ahead and hit that like button because you're going to like this anyway. Like, I give you a ton of information. I get you prepared for the month ahead. You know, I do the weekly astro forecast every Monday, so I've got you covered. All right. So hit that like button and show me some love. I definitely appreciate it. All right. Also, if you are interested in getting your weekly horoscope, then you should text ZODIAC to 855-826-5544. It is a weekly text service where I just text everyone their weekly horoscope. It's short, sweet, to the point. You get your horoscope every Monday. And again, if you are interested in that, then the link will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are interested in astrology, if you're new to astrology, or even if you've started studying astrology, but you haven't quite got things down pat yet, I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying astrology, namely the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. It's an 11-page PDF document that basically gives you a quick summary of all of those 4 pillars so that you can start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says, astrology is most definitely a science, and just like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So I created this cheat sheet so that you can start studying, start committing this to memory, and start learning astrology. All right, and if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below. All right, my friends. So let us chat about February. Okay, so like I said before, I think this broadcast is going to be a little shorter because there isn't that much going on this month, and that's actually a good thing. It's also going to be shorter because if you're not new to the channel and if you're used to watching my monthly astro forecast, I usually do the general astrology first, and then I break it down by all 12 rising signs. Well, this month and going forward, I decided to do something different. So on the last Wednesday of the month, I will be live doing the general astrology for the upcoming month. And then right before the month begins, I'll be doing each separate rising sign in a separate dedicated video, and I'll upload those sometime before the first of the month. All right. So each zodiac sign, each rising sign will get their own dedicated video, short, sweet, to the point, nothing too crazy. Because these lives ended up being really long, almost 2 hours. And for me, that's pretty long. That's a long time to be talking. And just so that it's more easily accessible for you, you guys can watch this to get the general flow for the upcoming month. And then you can check out whatever your rising sign is in a dedicated video. And again, it'll be short, sweet, and to the point. So again, hit that subscribe button. I really thought I just actually hit that subscribe button. I meant to. There we go. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll know when those videos come out. All right. I told you I got you covered on all bases. All right, so again, February, like, I don't know. There's something about January that always goes really slow. I feel like January takes forever and a day. And then right once we get into February, it's like the year just rolls by. All right. But nonetheless, we are on the crux of February. And I really like this month, astrologically speaking, because like I said, there isn't that much going on. But the best part about it is, if you listen to my last live, the weekly astro forecast for the week of January 23rd through 29th, I talked about how it is go time now, right? All planets are direct in the sky, meaning that there are no retrograde planets. So that means that it's like we can move forward without feeling like we're being pulled back in some sort of way. And the greatest part about this month is not only is there not a lot going on, meaning that you can sort of work without any obstacles. And, obviously life is full of challenges, that goes without saying. But astrologically speaking, there aren't going to be any curveballs. There isn't going to be any crazy astrology going on. It's just like the regular stuff, which I like. And I think you'll like as well. But the energy, at least going into February, is really solid, right? Because we start off the month in Aquarius season. Now, if you didn't know, and if you don't know, definitely get that Astrology Basics cheat sheet, because it'll tell you astrology. Aquarius is a fixed sign, meaning that it's not concerned with starting things, nor is it concerned with change and flexibility. It's middle of the road. The whole point of Aquarius energy is to stabilize, okay? Now, Aquarius is a forward-looking sign, right? It's all about looking into the future. So we're looking into the future, but we're sort of stable where we're at. And so going into the month, that's exactly how it's going to feel. It's going to feel like things have finally settled down for a little bit. Now, this is all, the caveat here is you have to look at your natal chart to see exactly what's going on, because while the general astrology may be calm, it may be activating certain things in your particular natal chart that may make things a little rocky or turbulent, okay? And if you want a natal chart report, the link will be in the description box below. I give you a full-fledged blueprint of your life. It's really dope. So if you're interested, link in the description box below. But regardless, we start off the month on a really steady foot. And I'm telling you, this is going to be the month where if you have things that you want to do, if you have things that you want to accomplish, this is going to be the month where you really just get to work. Because the astrology is like, all right, the astrology is going to give you a nice boost of energy. There isn't going to be retrogrades. There's no eclipses. There's no craziness going on that can really disrupt you. So it's really a month to get a lot done. And then as we get further into the month, we get into Pisces season. And I want you to think of Pisces season sort of like December, sort of like the month of December, right? By the time we get to December, this is when we're sort of winding things down. This is the time where we're wrapping up things that we've done over the year. It's the time to tie up loose ends because a new year is upon us, right? And the new year, the actual new year, starts in March during Aries season. So Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, it's that time where we wrap things up. But because Pisces is a mutable water sign, it's like we're getting ready for this new astrological year. And in getting ready, we tend to be quite introspective, okay? Pisces is a water sign, so it's very much concerned with our emotions. But because Pisces is the last water sign, it's like the highest level of water signs. So this means that we are really tapped into our subconscious. We're really listening to our spirit. We're getting in touch with ourselves from the inside out. It's definitely a time to go within, okay? Because we're preparing for an astrological new year. So it's a really important time. And again, I love the fact that the energy is super consistent, nothing crazy, not even that much going on. And it's also a month full of opportunity. Because of the way the planets are in the sky this month, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for opportunities, if that makes any sense. Basically, a lot of things are going to arise that can help you, okay? There's going to be a lot of beneficial energy sort of in the air this month. But again, it's up to you to take advantage of it. Things aren't necessarily just going to fall into place this month. I feel like this is a month where it's going to be pregnant with possibility. And you really just have to tap into that, use it to your advantage. And if you're doing your work, if you are diligent, if you are steadfast, this is going to be a month that can really help build a foundation for the future and help solidify you going forward. So again, I feel like it's going to be really good stuff. All right. So let's talk about the highlights and sort of get an overview of what's going on for February. So first, we have what I like to call all systems go. And if you've been watching my last couple of lives, I've been talking about this ad nauseum, okay? It's this energy of all planets are moving forward. There's no retrograde, okay? And so that should tell you something. That should tell you that this is a time for you to move forward. Definitely towards the end of 2022, I know me personally, a lot of people I talked to were feeling very stagnant. It was almost like you had a lot of ideas, you even had the momentum or even the motivation to do things, but it just felt like you were trudging through the mud. It felt like things weren't solidifying, things weren't clicking, things weren't gelling, things weren't moving in a manner that was acceptable to you, right? Things may have been really slow or not even happening at all. That's because there were a lot of retrogrades. There were a lot of planets that were sort of dormant in a sense, right? But again, now because all planets are direct, it's like everything is moving forward and we have the opportunity to do so as well. So it's a really dope time right now. The second highlight of the month is what I like to call dreams and fantasies, okay? Because we have we have quite a few planets that will be going into Pisces. Definitely by the end of the month, a whole bunch of planets are going to be in Pisces. So we're going to have the sun, the moon, Venus, and Neptune, okay? And so with all of this planetary energy in Pisces, it's going to be definitely towards the end of the month. It's going to be a time that's very ethereal, that's very dreamy, that's very idyllic. This is the time when you're optimistic. This is the time when you can be highly spiritual. This is the time when you can tap into your humanity, where you can really be philanthropic and altruistic. It's a time where you can really feel love, give love, be empathic, be sympathetic and compassionate. All of that lovey-dovey tenderness, affectionate kind of energy is coming our way by the end of the month. All right. Wow. And it's interesting because that energy is very sort of characteristic of Valentine's Day, right? But Valentine's Day is actually in Aquarius season. So Valentine's Day, it wants to feel very lovey-dovey. It wants to feel very romantic. I feel like a lot of people force that kind of energy, but it's really not, because Valentine's Day happens to be during Aquarius season, and Aquarius season really has a friend vibe to it, right? It's more about a love of humanity on a friendship kind of level rather than being highly romantic and sensitive, right? I feel, and let me know if I'm wrong, but I feel like people really try to force love down your throat during Valentine's Day and even leading up to Valentine's Day. It feels very forced. And I think that it's like Pisces energy is right around the corner. So I feel like people want to tap into that. But by and large, Valentine's Day is really about just love of humanity, right? It doesn't have to be so lovey-dovey and tender and fluffy, okay? But in any event, Pisces season does feel tender and fluffy and affectionate and all of that feel good kind of energy, right? It also has some caveats though. You know, Pisces energy can be a lack of boundaries. It can be very victim-minded. It can be very martyr-ish, okay? So that's sort of the flip side of that Pisces energy. But I'll get to that when I get further into the broadcast, all right? But by and large, Pisces season is going to be about getting ready for a new astrological year. So it's about turning within. It's about finding your soul. It's about connecting with your higher self and getting prepared for a new revolution around the zodiac wheel. All right. Then the final highlight for the month is what I like to call thrill of the chase. Okay. And this is because Venus is going to be moving into Aries. So we don't have too many planets changing signs this month. Okay. So we have the sun changing signs, which happens every month, right? We have a full moon and a new moon. Those are the three standard that you will have every single month. And then typically we have Mercury and Venus tend to make some moves depending on what they've been doing. And so this month, Mercury makes a move, Venus makes a move, and then that's it. All of the rest of the planets, from Mars to Jupiter to Saturn to Uranus to Neptune and to Pluto, they are all staying put where they're at. Okay. And again, that should tell you something. This is the time to sort of, I feel like the new moon in Aquarius that just happened last week was definitely a time to get your mind working, figure out a master plan, figure out what you want to do. And I feel like February is definitely going to be a month where you execute and there isn't going to be a whole bunch of shit being thrown your way. Okay. But in any event, Thrill of the chase. Okay, Venus in Aries. This is about being bold, spontaneous, dynamic, and blunt, especially when it comes to relationships and when it comes to money. This is a time of being impulsive and impatient. And especially in relationships, it's a time where you want to chase and seduce rather than be chased or be seduced. It's very forward in your face kind of energy when it comes to relationships and money. So depending on where it's going down in your chart, this is where you can really start some new shit, especially if you're willing to be a little bold and risky. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the nitty gritty of the month. All right. So as you can tell, again, not much going on this month, but we start off February with a full moon in the sign of Leo. Then we have Mercury making its move for the month. It is moving into Aquarius. Thereafter, we have the sun moving into Pisces, which will officially begin Pisces season, the last season of the zodiac, of the zodiacal year, I should say. Then the new moon for the month is going to be in the sign of Pisces. And we close out the month with that thrill of the chase energy I was just talking about with Venus in Aries. All right, so let's break it down and see exactly what we have. All right, so let me just fix this real quick. All right, so we start at the beginning, and the beginning of the month, we find the full moon in the sign of Leo on February 5th. Now, you know that I said that all planets are moving direct, right? That is happening from now until April. And what's very interesting is that all full moons between January and April are going down at the 16th degree. So January's full moon in Cancer, February's full moon in Leo, March's full moon in Virgo, and April's full moon in Libra. All of them are happening at the 16th degree, okay? And the 16th degree boils down to the number 7, and we are in a universal 7 year, okay? We cannot escape the energy of the number 7, even if we tried, particularly at the beginning of this year. Now, just a recap with respect to what the number 7 embodies. It is the number of God. It is the number of completion. It's a very deep, wise, and spiritual energy, okay? There is this thirst for knowledge, this thirst for truth that a lot of people are experiencing right now, okay? And this all has to do with the vibrational energy of the number 7, again, because we're in a number 7 universal year. It's about taking an intellectual and an intuitive approach to things. It's a very holistic number that gives you a very comprehensive view of things. It allows you to learn things logically and intuit things intuitively. So it's very spiritual. It's all about research, learning, listening, for some teaching, finding hidden truths. It has an element of curiosity to it. I'm sure you get where I'm going with this, right? So there's a lot to be gained during this time, particularly between January and April, okay? And this is especially important with this full moon in Leo, all right? So this full moon is going down, like I said, at 16 degrees Leo. It's going down at 1:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 5th, okay? So there's going to be this element of moving forward, okay? Because if you are familiar with the tarot, the number 7, the 7th card in the major arcana is the Chariot, okay? And so there's this element of us moving forward at this time. Moving forward in a very spiritual sort of way. Like I said, it's a very holistic number. It's spiritual. It's the number of God. So many of us are really finding ourselves moving forward in a way that's in alignment with our highest good, with our highest self, with our soul's mission. And this is going to be illuminated to us, particularly at this full moon in Leo. The energy of Leo is very much heart-centered. It's very much concerned with the heart chakra. Leo moves from a place of love, from a place of desire and passion, but ultimately from the heart. And this is going to show you, I really feel like this full moon in Leo is going to illuminate what is your heart's truest desire. What are you willing to do? Let me not say, I wanted to say, what are you willing to do for love? I think that may be an issue that comes up for some. But it's like, what do you feel inclined to do? What are you passionate about? What does your heart tell you to do? And this is going to be a little bit of, how do I put this? Because the full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposite each other. The sun is clearly going to be in the sign of Aquarius, which is all about the intellect, whereas the moon is going to be in the sign of Leo, which is all about the heart. So you may find that this full moon may have you torn between what you think you want to do and what you feel like you want to do. It's going to be sort of a tug of war between your head and your heart. Your heart should win. Point blank, period. You should definitely follow your heart at this time. That is what this full moon is going to show you. Okay. Now, for some, the full moon can signify the culmination of a particular thing. It can signify the manifestation coming to fruition, right? And the sign of Leo, this may be something that you're really passionate about. This may be something having to do with your creativity or your self-expression, or maybe even your children. Maybe something concerning your children may come to a culmination, okay? But by and large, full moons are all about illumination. And I feel like this is going to illuminate what's in our hearts. It's going to illuminate our inner child. And for some, if you've been ignoring your inner child, I feel like that little child is going to be screaming at you during this full moon. It's really going to draw your attention to what you really want, what's really in your heart, and urge you to follow that, okay? The moon is going to be sextile to Mars, and Mars is all about passion. So this is going to be a very passionate full moon. It's going to really illuminate what you are passionate, what you are fired up about, what is in your spirit. So I feel like people are really going to be feeling this moon, this full moon. But it's going to be about, again, what you're passionate about, what fires you up. So people may be overly enthusiastic with this moon. Full moons, it's said that that's when the crazies come out, right? And with the moon sextile to Aries, I feel like people are really going to be acting a fool. People might be extremely passionate about their opinions. People may be really fired up, a little too aggressive, a little too cocky, maybe a little too selfish when it comes to their needs and their desires. So those are things that you're going to want to be mindful of and watch out for, particularly if you're dealing with other people, okay? Anytime you have Mars in the mix, that heightens the propensity for fighting, for conflict, for confrontation. So if you're looking for a fight, this is going to be the time to really look for it, because I think people will be down to fight. I think people will be with the shits. All right. The moon is also going to be square Uranus. So there is going to be this element of surprise. There could also be this element of rapid mood swings, of being impulsive, like being torn in going in different directions and moving very impulsively, and things coming up out of nowhere, feeling like you want to rebel. There may also be this undercurrent of anxiety, this undercurrent of paranoia even. You could be easily distracted. Like Uranus may throw a bit of a curveball. However, Uranus is also the planet of intuition. So your intuition may really come alive at this full moon, or this full moon may direct you to follow your intuition, which should be in line with your heart. Okay. So I feel like many of us will be guided to follow our hearts, to follow our intuition, and to follow our passions by and large. All right. So that is the moon that's the full moon, right? So now we move on to Mercury in Aquarius. Okay. But before I get into that, let's take a look at the chat and see who we have in here tonight. All right. So as always, we've got Ramel. Thank you for joining. Linda, pleasure to see you. And of course, my friend Hollow. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Let's see what Linda's talking about. I see a nice little comment here. All right. What am I willing to do for love? I have already done. Now time to, oh, I like that. That is beautiful. And that is such in line with the full moon energy, because if you've done the work already, and if you've put in the work, if you've manifested, especially if you've been following your heart, then the full moon is the time to reap the benefits. It's the time to actually receive your manifestation. It's when things come to fruition. So I'm excited for you. I hope this full moon brings you something that your heart truly desires. That's really dope. All right. So next up, we have Mercury in Aquarius. Okay. So Mercury was in Capricorn for a while because it went retrograde. And then finally on February 11th, it's going to move into Aquarius. Okay. So at that time, Mercury does pretty well in Aquarius because Aquarius is all about the intellect. Aquarius is an air sign. Mercury is concerned with communication and ideas. So Mercury in Aquarius is really about forward thinking. It's about thinking of a master plan. It is about, hold on. It is about thinking outside of the box. It's about taking your mind to other places, other dimensions. The last thing that Aquarius wants is to be put in a box and to be contained. So this is a time when a lot of inventions can be made. This is a time of innovation. Improving on things, having the idea to improve upon things is the essence of Mercury in Aquarius, okay? So thinking outside the box, being daring, being original, being innovative, that's definitely how Mercury in Aquarius operates, okay? Now, when it comes to our communication style, we're very much like communication can be very otherworldly. This could definitely be a time when, thinking is at its peak. This is a time when people even want to improve on the way that they think, like things like life hacks and different AI and different technology and things like that definitely thrive with Mercury in Aquarius. And the way that technology is going, it feels like literally every other day, they're coming up with something new. So I want you to pay attention to how many new things, especially technological advances, come online while Mercury is in Aquarius. Okay. I don't doubt that it's going to be a lot, especially in terms of artificial intelligence and everything like that. So use it to your advantage, or take some time to really just think about the future. Use your imagination in order to conjure up something new, innovative, and exciting that can definitely benefit you in the future. And again, think of a master plan, because what you think about now, you bring about in the future. And of course, Aquarius is all about the future. All right, so let's keep it moving. So next up, we have the sun moving into Pisces on February 18th. And that will officially begin Pisces season, okay? And so, like I said before, Pisces season, it's dreamy, it's ethereal. It's very different from Aquarius. Aquarius is very detached. It's very in your head. It's very future thinking. It's very quirky and innovative. Pisces is ethereal. Pisces is dreamy. It's fantastical. It's idyllic. It's optimistic, and it's spiritual. It's also the last sign of the zodiac. So we are winding down this particular zodiacal year. And of course, like I said before, you want to think of Pisces season as like December of the regular, calendar year. It's when you tie up loose ends. It's sort of when you think about everything that has transpired over the last year, from the time that the sun was in Aries in early 2022 until it goes back into Aries in early, in March of 2023. What have you accomplished? What have you done? What is your soul telling you? What is your spirit telling you? Your higher self, your spirit team. This is a time to really tap in and get right with yourself and prepare for the new astrological year. Okay. Pisces energy, like I mentioned before, it is love on a higher level. It's empathy, it's compassion, it is selflessness, it's devotion. Okay. But the thing about Pisces energy is that it has absolutely no boundaries. Pisces is just like, it's the fish swimming in the ocean. There's no boundaries whatsoever. So it lends itself to people being taken advantage of. It lends itself to wolves in sheep's clothing, charlatans, all of that kind of stuff, right? I think I mentioned that pretty extensively in the weekly astro forecast that I just did this past Monday. But there's also this energy of victimhood that Pisces is characteristic of, okay? And you definitely want to be mindful of that if that comes up, whether it comes up with you or whether it comes up with people that you're dealing with. Like being a martyr, throwing yourself a pity party, being passive, like not really dealing with things. That's the flip side of that Pisces energy. The other side of that Pisces energy that I was talking about is being really tapped into spirit. When you're tapped into spirit and when you're tapped into yourself and when those are aligned, it allows not only for self-reflection, but self-realization. And self-realization is what allows you to ascend, right? But with Pisces, Pisces is also the escape artist. When things get too emotional, when things get too intense, Pisces wants to escape, whether it's through drugs, alcohol, sex, or any other sort of addictive behavior. Pisces just doesn't want to deal with it. And so you may find that even if you are, self-actualized, if you know yourself, if you're really on that spiritual tip and that spiritual vibe, you may find that a lot of people around you, especially if they're not on the same kind of journey, will be throwing themselves pity parties, playing the victim, not taking accountability for their shit, being elusive, not really paying attention to how they're feeling or what's going on. So be mindful of that and have empathy for people as they are going through that, right? Because one of the things I've learned very early on in this journey is that, you can't force people to change, nor can you force people to ascend, nor can you force people to see themselves for who they really are, right? You kind of just have to let people be. And when they're ready, they'll be ready and they'll be ready to embark on that journey and then, vibe. But a lot of times you just have to let people be who they are. And that's sort of the way that Pisces energy works. It's like, well, you and I may not be on the same wavelength. We may not be on the same vibration, but I still honor you anyway. And I let you do your thing. I give you your space. I'm really not going to be all up in your mess, but I give you your space to be you. And I understand because at one point I was there too, right? Most of us have not been born just spiritually aware and really on that tip, right? So it's important to practice empathy and compassion because people may be really acting up, acting out, almost temper tantrum, very avoidant behavior. A lot of that can go down during Pisces season. So be mindful of that in yourself and in others. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. Then next up, we have the new moon for the month, and it's going down in the sign of Pisces, and that's going down on February 20th. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that the first couple of new moons this year, so the new moon in Aquarius, new moon in Pisces, new moon in Aries, all going down at the first degree. Okay. So that should also tell you something. The first degree is the degree of action. It's the degree of initiation. It's the degree of starting things. It's the degree of taking action steps and creation, right? It's the first step in creation. So in the sign of Pisces, because Pisces is a water sign, because Pisces is not about taking physical action, it's really about taking spiritual action, right? And when I was getting ready for this live and the way that I was thinking about it, it's like Pisces is the gestation period. It's like you are in the womb. And what did we do when we were in the womb? Well, nothing, right? Except for grow, develop internally. From the inside out, we developed while we were in the womb. That's Pisces season. Of course, being in the amniotic sac, right, with the amniotic fluid, those are the waters of Pisces, right? And then we are born during Aries season. So this should tell you that this new moon in Pisces is not necessarily going to be you doing a lot of external things. It's really about internal development. Remember, I always say, and this is the universal law. Everything is mental. Everything starts in the mind first. Everything is created, the law of correspondence, as above, so below. Pisces season is where you work on the as above part. It's where you align with your higher self. It's where you develop what you need internally so that come Aries season, when you are born, when you are released, those things show up in your reality, or you can at least take physical action steps toward them. Okay. So the first degree, the number 1 in terms of numerology, it's all about motivation and momentum. It's that pioneering, that enterprising kind of energy. It's that breakthrough kind of energy. But again, because it's going down in Pisces, this is not breaking through physically. This is not breaking through externally. For some, if you really want to and you really can, it's like you can really tap into your spirituality during this new moon in Pisces. You can create your entire reality, your entire external reality. You can create that here and here, especially during this new moon in Pisces. Now, because it's internal, one of the things that the new moon does, and this particular new moon is going to do, is that it pushes us to look at our current circumstances and realize that we have the power to change them. I'm going to say that one more time. This new moon in particular is going to push us to look at our current circumstances and realize that we have the power to change them. Meaning that, like I said, your outer world is created here first. Use the energy of the new moon in Pisces to create that. But you know how you do that? You do it in tandem with your spirit team, right? You do it in tandem with your spirit team. It's like your spirit team is giving you all the nutrients that you need as a baby, all the nutrients that the baby needs to survive and needs to grow while in the womb. Your spirit team is going to give them to you. It's going to be downloads. It's going to be messages. It's going to be promptings. It's going to be your intuition being loud. Listen to those things. You may even want to take the new moon to just listen. Just listen to what your spirit team has to say. Listen to your intuition. Listen to where you are being guided and meditate on that. And then come Aries season and then the Aries new moon, that's when you take action. That's when you're born. That's when you're released. That's when you take external physical steps toward the manifestation of the things that you want to bring to life. Okay. So it's going to be a very powerful new moon in Pisces if you tap into it. Okay. Now the tarot card for the number 1 is the Magician. And this is important because the Magician is all about manifestation, but more so than just manifestation, the Magician has all of the tools necessary to create his or her own reality. You need to understand, and this new moon is going to give you the fertile soil and show you that there's nothing outside of yourself that you need to have the life that you want. Anything that you want to create, it's already created within you. All you got to do is tap into your spirit team, tap into your higher self, tap into God, the Almighty, right? That's what you do during this new moon in Pisces. And then come Aries season, you're going to start to see things flowing because, again, all planets are going to be direct. There's no retrogrades. There's no obstruction. You could really sit and focus on what it is that you want to manifest without thinking of the past or without the past knocking at your door. This is the time. Take this energy seriously. Do with it what you feel guided to do. And trust me, this new astrological year is going to start off really beautifully for you. Okay. Now, this new moon is going to be conjunct Saturn. So there's going to be an element of frustration, or there's going to be some karmic lessons that need to be learned, some karma that needs to be completed. Okay. So keep that in mind. So if things feel a little rough, understand that you are closing out a cycle. Okay. The fact that the new moon is conjunct Saturn, if you're familiar with the tarot, it's almost like the new moon is the Magician card and the presence of Saturn is the World card. It's like Alpha and Omega. You are closing out a cycle to start anew. So, and here's the thing. If you're like, well, I don't know what cycle I have to close out, or I don't know what I should be doing, tap into yourself, tap into your higher self, tap into God, tap into your spirit team. They will let you know and they will guide you through the ending of this cycle. But a cycle will indeed be ending. And there are certain things that you're going to have to let go of. Okay. So it may feel a little daunting. It may feel a little heavy. I mean, Pisces is a sea of emotions. And it's like being submerged in the amniotic sac, right? It's a sea of fluid, right? But know and understand that if you do what you need to do, if you do what you are prompted to do, come Aries season, especially the new moon in Aries, you're going to be reborn. And you're going to be reborn into a reality that you created, for better or for worse. All right. So keep that in mind. But that's going to be a very powerful new moon. Venus is also going to be conjunct Neptune at that new moon. So there's going to be the chance for a lot of love, for empathy, for compassion. All of that Pisces sort of energy I was talking about before is going to be available to you at this new moon. So regardless of how things feel, regardless of how difficult they may feel, regardless of what kind of cycle you're closing, understand that energy of love and compassion is going to be here for you. So definitely tap into that. All right. So let's keep it moving. All right. And then finally, we get to the final sort of event of the month, which is Venus moving into Aries. And this is what I called the thrill of the chase. Okay. So Venus in Aries is definitely going to allow you to start things, especially when it comes to money, when it comes to love. Hold on. Sorry, I'm checking my notes. When it comes to money and love, you can really start some new things in a bold and dynamic way. If you are willing to take a risk, okay? I feel like, especially in the love department, I know you may not want to hear that, but if you're willing to take a risk in love, I think it could definitely pay off in the short term. Venus in Aries is all about instant gratification when it comes to love or when it comes to money. So these are things that are going to make you feel good in the moment, but not necessarily things that are going to last. So keep that in mind, especially if you're starting a relationship while Venus is in Aries. You're really going to have to keep the momentum going. You're going to have to keep the sparks and the fire going because it may not last. It may be one of those one and done kind of things, or one of those things that's just hot and heavy for the moment and then kind of fizzles out. So keep that in mind. All right. You're bold, you're fresh, you're blunt, you're definitely, no sugarcoating, right? Especially when it comes to discussions about money, when it comes to negotiations. This isn't about sugarcoating. This isn't even about an everybody wins kind of situation. Even though Venus is about fairness, because Venus is in Aries, it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, I want what I want and I want what I want. I don't care what you want. I want to win. There has to be a clear winner, and that winner has to be me. So if you're doing any negotiations, that's the energy that's going to be flying around. So keep that in mind. Okay. Desires are strong. You express them spontaneously and directly. This is the time to shoot your shot. This is the time to not be shy. This is the time to really be bold and dynamic. And like I said, if you're willing to take a risk, I think it could definitely pay off in the short term. Okay. This is chasing and seducing rather than being chased and being seduced. So it's about being proactive in terms of relationships and in terms of love. Okay. And again, if you're willing to take a risk with these things, it can definitely pay off in the short term. So by the end of the month, it's going to be feeling kind of good, lovey-dovey, but willing to take a risk. I feel like we can really set ourselves up for an amazing new zodiacal year. If we do that work, if we tap into ourselves, if we create our realities here, then we can be reborn and see our realities out here. All right. So I really think that it's going to be a good month if you allow it to be. All right, my friends. So that has been the monthly astro forecast for the month of February 2023. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going forward. If you're new, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell, because I go live every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the weekly astro forecast. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing month, and I will see y'all next time. All right, take care.